A taste of America. Returning from our honeymoon to Zaragoza, we settled in what would be our home for the first time being until we could find one that really belonged to us. Carlos found work quickly, in part thanks to his friends in the world of tourism and hospitality, and thus began working at the Romareda Hotel in Zaragoza, a great hotel near the soccer stadium of the same name, as both are in the neighborhood that baptizes all of them. Many of the shifts Carlos did were at night, usually from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. He was used to it because he had worked that shift mostly at the Oroel Apart Hotel in Jaca, Huesca. For me, it was an uncomfortable change as I had to stay alone at night in that house, which, honestly, did not give me a good feeling from the beginning. The house was located, and surely still is, on Manuela Sancho Street, a street in a neighborhood of Zaragoza with tremendous accumulated history, since many of the events that occurred during the Napoleonic War of Independence in 1808 took place between those streets and walls, and although the house was not as old as that, it was located among all that historical maelstrom. Perhaps because I have always had that ability, I began to feel uncomfortable in that house. The nights scared me, not only because of the fact that I was alone for the first time in my life in a house, newly married, when what you want most is to have your husband by your side, especially in those night hours, but because of the horrible feeling of not really being alone and at peace. There was a constant feeling of being watched, of not being welcome there, by a presence I couldn't see, but I could feel, and it wasn't good. There was a special room that, before Carlos and I got married, was a small living room, and we transformed it into a bedroom. It was quite small and opened onto a dark inner courtyard. That room was the part of the house that inspired me the most suspicion, and I entered it as little as possible. Carlos knew of my dalliances with the occult and supernatural world without being obsessed with it, but was interesting. I had nightmares in that house, full of terror. One in the hallway of the house that was quite long and that went from our room to the street door. I saw myself getting up and going out into that corridor, finding myself in total solitude and darkness, with a hurricane wind in it, and with the sensation at the same time of people around me pulling my clothes and producing distant laments. I tried to shout my husband's name, Carlos, but my voice was choked, and I also knew that no one will come to my rescue. In another of those nightmares, I saw myself on the landing of our staircase that divided it into two from our door to the street doorway. From there, I could see an old man stationed at the door of my house with an unfriendly attitude, and in the doorway of the street, I saw my father, with whom I was not related at the time, and who also inspired fear in me. There I was, trapped on that landing, not knowing where to go, and honestly, I wasn't the only one who felt tremendously uncomfortable in that building. My brother, who stayed overnight in that room to accompany me, told me that he had a bad time and that, much to his regret, he will not stay there to sleep anymore. Likewise, friends who came to dinner felt that something, and not good, was there. Even one dog we had was desperate to leave the house when we went to work. He scratched the wall of the street door until the brick was exposed. He destroyed things when he was a very calm dog with us. And when we moved to our new house, he never broke anything else or scratched anything else, even when he was alone. It would be months later, after buying our new apartment and living in it, that Carlos would tell me, because he knew me, that in that horrible room and in that house, a good friend of his grandmother who visited her regularly had died. Thus, everything made sense to me and showed me that I was not crazy. And leaving aside the supernatural issue, I also dedicated myself to looking for a job because we needed money to get ahead in our new life together. Thus, as I mentioned in previous chapters, my American friend Tracy and her father, who still lived in Zaragoza, helped me to find a position as a cashier in the commissary of the American Air Base. It is a work that I will remember with gratitude, affection, and as a great teaching that will help me in future years. At first, honestly, I didn't feel that confident. I didn't know if my English was enough for a job like that one, which demanded fluency and understanding of new terms not used by me until then. I also had to learn to deal with another type of currency other than the peseta, the dollar, and learn to quickly operate the cash register, which back then was not like today's ones, where you can scan the product. No, you had to punch in the prices without fail. No machine told you the changes you had to return. It was something you were supposed to have known since school. I also had to be at the entrance of the commissary from time to time, checking the IDs of everyone who entered the shop, since only military personnel and their families could enter. Those who were stationed at the base had their card, and those who came from other bases in Europe on mission, called TDYs, had to present some papers along with their card to enter. The sale of tobacco was limited to ration cards, and they were very strict with that. In fact, I was covering the position of a cashier who was caught rigging the cards to obtain contraband tobacco. But despite the first difficulties and fears, I adapted quickly, something that would not have been possible without the magnificent help of all those who worked with me there, mostly Americans and some Spanish, who supported and guided me in this new adventure. I did not forget and will not forget any of them. From the military chiefs like Sergeant Carnes, civilians like Mr. Vasquez of Mexican origin, Pete of Colombian origin, Robin, a very sweet and affectionate girl in the deli, Myra, a super funny girl along with her husband Jim, a member of the base police but good-natured, Isabel, a Spanish cashier like me who was married to an American guy, Susana, my boss cashier, Filipino by birth. The baggers, curious characters of that place and very funny. One of French origin, Bernadette, was already older, the other Cuban, all of them married to American soldiers. There I discovered my first taste of what the United States will be for me, a rehearsal for future years. And you'll wonder, if you've heard my previous chapters, if I looked for Ron among those soldiers every day. When I arrived at work at the base every morning, I hoped that at some point he will walk through that door, or I'd meet him in the cafeteria, and he'd clear my mind out of the terrible doubt in which he left me plunged only 1 year before. But that never happened.
So free, this